For many of my Muslim friends, one of the most reliable scholars to understand biblical scriptures, biblical history, and biblical doctrine is Ahmed Deedat. Ahmed Deedat makes many claims. He says a lot of things in his videos. He is very bombastic, very bold, and very confident in his claims. And so it is not only the information that he passes out to his congregation, but it is also his characteristic, his stage presence that convinces many that whatever he is saying is correct and must be embraced. So today, I want to explore this question. Was and is Ahmed Deedat a good and reliable Bible scholar? And should my Muslim friends or anyone be using him in order to form any sort of conclusions regarding the theology of the Christian church? My immediate answer is, of course, absolutely not, and we'll quickly explore that now.
There was nothing about Peter worshipping Jesus. You see, this word worship, you open your new Bible now, New Bible, you'll find a different word for worship. You'll open the RSV, you'll find a different word for worship. You see? Right, but what are the alternative, what are the synonyms used for worship? And everyone is worship. Right. Now to the Jew, if the Jew worshipped Jesus, you see, that means all the disciples were worshipping him. If Peter worshipped him, then all the other disciples likewise must be worshipping him, because Peter was the leader of the disciples. But we find nowhere the disciples ever prostrating before Jesus at any time. The 11 or the 12 worshipping him. Worshipping him means that you are our God. You see, this word worship, you ask the Roman Catholic. Look, they have a good knowledge of the scriptures. You know, they claim an unbroken chain of popes from 1 Peter to today. Now you ask them how many types of worships are there, and they'll tell you there are 3 different types of worship. Right? You say about your sweetheart, your fiancée, I worship her. But when you say you worship her, you mean you love her extremely, beyond measure, but you're not taking her for a goddess. Look, this is an expression we use commonly. It says, you're worshipping the guy. It says, money my God, woman my guide, says the Frenchman. We say you are worshipping money, you're worshipping women. But you don't say, money is my God, or you don't say, woman is my God. But you use the word worship. Worship is an extreme form of love. He must have been very much humiliated, and in lovingness, he must have embraced the man, which according to your King James Version has used the word worship. But now if he was worshipped as God, that would be something. He said, no, look, he is our God. Then he must say so. Then we say, look, they were all worshipping him. But at no time do we hear that they ever worshipped him as a people instead of worshipping God. He's telling you, come worship God, the Father in heaven. He's the only God. He's the real God.
So now I'd like to evaluate 3 specific points presented to us by Ahmed Deedat in the video we just watched. And by exploring that, what I'd like to do is present to you why Ahmed Deedat is a less than worst scholar and source to anyone when forming any conclusion regarding the Christian church or the Christian theology. The first claim, that there are 3 specific defined types of worship by the Catholic Church. This is false. I went on a hunt looking at encyclopedias, Britannicas from the Roman Catholic Church, and I could not find anything regarding 3 types of worship. What instead we have is that worship is understood in different ways, in the sense that it is performed in different ways. It is not that worship is used, the word worship is used in different things and in different types of ways, but that it is applied in different ways. One of them being prayer, the other one being congregational gathering, the other one being performing sacraments in the Roman Catholic Church, the other one being having private meditation time, reading the Bible, etc. And so those are different ways in which a Christian worships God. And so that is the application of worship. And yet worship is understood in just simply one way. It's exalting the creator of the universe. And so I'm not sure where Ahmed Deedat gets this whole 3 types of worship idea instead of 3 applications, or the fact that he even mentions the word 3. I'm not sure where he gets the number 3. There's so many different ways in which we can apply worship to God. So I'm not sure what his point was there. Another point that what I gathered from his video and his presentation is that the Bible translations wrongfully use the word worship when it should be something else. That he even gives an example that one man can worship a girl. It does not mean making her God, but that he is expressing an extreme expression of love, or whatever the case is. And so it is wrongfully used and understood by the Christian community that the disciples or whoever actually worship Jesus as God. Now, I'm not sure if Ahmed Deedat forgot Thomas in John chapter 20, verse 28, where Thomas actually exclaims and says, "My Lord and my God," looking at Jesus. And then immediate response from my Muslim community and Ahmed Deedat is that no, that wasn't a proclamation of worship to Jesus. Instead, it was an expression that kind of burst forth because of his surprise. And oh my, OMG, the phrase that many youngsters today, or many adults as well, use, OMG. It was not an acknowledgement of Jesus' deity. May I remind all my listeners is that Thomas was a Jew. For him, simply making such a statement was blasphemous. He was a Jew. He do not take the name of the Lord in vain seriously. But let me, even for argument's sake, concede to the point that he did exclaim that, right? Would it not be reasonable for Jesus, who is also a Jew, a sinless Jew on top of it all, and his disciples who were around him at that stage, not to correct Thomas immediately? Hey, Thomas, you just took the name of God in vain. Repent. How can you do that? Jesus corrects Peter, "Get behind me, Satan," and etc. He corrects the Pharisees. He does that. But with Thomas, specifically when Thomas is taking the name of God in vain, Jesus is quiet. Is that not surprising to you? It is to me. Another point that Ahmed Deedat makes is that Moses worshipped face down to God. Many prophets did that, even Jesus did that, but no one does that with Jesus. And that Christians don't worship like that. So somehow he's trying to, interconnect and relate these 2 separate points in. However, I think I should read a verse which should clarify this issue, is that has anyone ever, right, unambiguously prostrated themselves before Jesus Christ in worship? And did Jesus then accept that worship? Let's read. Luke chapter 5, verse 12. "And it came to pass when he was in a certain city, behold, a man full of leprosy, who seeing Jesus fell on his face and besought him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou can make me clean." Prostration before Jesus. And Jesus heals the man instead of correcting him. Do not prostrate before me. Do not pray to me. And in fact, what you have is that the biblical testimony provides us with this leprous man prostrating and praying, requesting in a prostrated state to Jesus, heal me if you see it fit. Same words that I use to God. Lord, heal my daughter with flu if it be your will. And so what you have is worship in prostration to Jesus, and Jesus responding positively to the leprous man and healing him clean. And so immediately, when we evaluate these 3 points that I have presented, what you come across is not that he was a bad Bible scholar, no, but that he was not a Bible scholar at all. My dear Muslim friends, there are some really helpful biblical scholars and just general scholars out there that you can use in order to study Christian belief, Christian exegesis, and Christian history. You do not have to use the worst of them. So I hope that this video has been informative in the sense that you have seen that Ahmed Deedat is not only a bad scholar, that he is not a Bible scholar at all. And so to use him to discover Christian truths is to ask a 2-year-old on how to fly an aeroplane. It just doesn't fit. Ask an actual biblical scholar. Ask an actual Christian theologian. And then consult him in order to form your conclusions. And there are many in this world. And one biblical scholar that I personally really admire is James White. Use James White. He is very good and very fair in his presentation. And there's many others like him. We do not have to go to people like Ahmed Deedat, who is not a scholar at all. And I hope that this video helped you in that regard. So before I close, I'd like to quickly just read a verse. And that is John chapter 14, verse 6. And Jesus answered and said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. My name is Shamun Khakan, and I hope to see you soon.